Hey folks, it's Rob Flex here with another Real Deal in the Field, here with Sunil. Several of these projects we've seen so far. Mate, we're all the way out in Bowral for this particular one, so a long way from
Sydney.
A long way from Sydney. It's about an hour's drive. Why Bowral, mate? Why out here? So the home of Don Bradman, for anyone who's not familiar with Bowral.
We got introduced to this area by a fellow developer, and we looked at the numbers initially and thought the guy had rocks in his head when he was discussing or projecting the sale prices. And we did a bit of homework. There was definitely, substance in his expectation of the pricing. We acquired the first site under option, and then COVID hit and prices kind of stabilized, and we used that as an opportunity to acquire more sites. And out of the ones we acquired, we got 4 under construction. We are at 48 Ascot Road, Bowral, which is the project that's most advanced at the moment.
Yeah, so you've got a few happening in the area. So Bowral being a lower population, but it's a home where a lot of aged people are coming out here, I guess downsizing. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. Price points are like right up there. And these are, I guess, some luxury dwellings that you've got going on here. So you acquired this site DA approved, and you're building a luxury product. What is the product that you're actually building, mate?
We're building 8 luxury townhouses. A bit of background, yes, Bowral it's considered to be the double bay of the Southern Highlands. People that are downsizing are the ones that we're acquiring their sites, so 4,000 square meter block. They want the same luxury in their living area, living spaces, but they don't want
the hassle of the maintenance and all that sort of stuff.
So, yeah, it's kind of immune to whatever's happening in the market with interest rates or any of that. We got people that are selling, downsizing, and they're buying cash. So whatever happens with interest rates, etc., doesn't impact.
Absolutely. Now, it wouldn't be a real deal in the field unless we talked about some challenges that you had on site, and you had one challenge, I guess, when you started to break ground, and with, I guess, a great deal of rain that actually happened, and the site was impacted significantly by water, mate. Tell us about that.
So Bowral is, you have the 4 seasons in a day, and the amount of rain that this area experiences it's insane. Construction started in
about 4 or 5
months ago,
yeah.
And where we had an enormous amount of rain. They had benched the site, they had started the trenches, the excavator was in the middle of the site, and it was flooded. So we either had the choice to wait for the site to naturally dry. It is a cold area, so it takes longer to dry.
It takes a long time to evaporate. Yeah.
So we decided to bite the bullet, and we got the sites pumped out. So we had a big semi-trailer on site pumping water into the trailer. We could not dispose of it locally, so we had to drive it back to Sydney, get the water filtered, cleaned, and disposed of, and then made a few trips to get the water drained. So that brought us back about 2 weeks in construction time, and yeah.
Anyone who's been watching some of these real deals in the field and that have seen some of the other sites of Sunil's, you'll see that pumping water out on his sites is
a common theme. It's a common theme.
Absolutely. But as he touched on, because the ground had already been broken, when the rain hits it has the biggest amount of impact at that point in time. It's very different when the roof is on and that sort of thing. But at that point in time, ground soakage, if you don't dry it up, you're going to be there for a long time. And because of that cold climate, it was either sit and wait and have holding costs, or pay for the pumping solution. As you said, had to clean the water before disposing of the water.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Mate, let's go and have a look at inside some of these. These are, I guess, a nice luxury build, and obviously under construction. A lot of the nice
finishes
cabinetry and finishes. Whilst it's in, that's all kind of covered up with protective material. But let's go inside and take a look. Mate, here we are on the inside of, I think this is Unit 4. You said there's 8 in the complex.
8 in the complex, yes.
High-end luxury type finishes. You can see here the beautiful stone bench tops and the walk-in pantry and all that sort of thing. And clearly construction site.
We're on a construction site, yes.
Bit of noise going on. Let's talk about construction timelines. So I guess going back I guess before COVID, getting a 6 or 9 month build was pretty common. But nowadays, it's very, very rare to get yourself a contract that's that short. This is a 12-month contract, but just talk a little bit about the timelines that this build is working to.
Exceptional, I guess, from a timeline perspective, and as we mentioned, the amount of rain that we have here and rain delays. So for them to work through this and be ready in 9 months to completion, and I guess one of the things we didn't talk about was the architect. So we bought the site with the DA. The architect was based in Canberra. So we got the construction certificate done with a local architect that's doing other works for us in Bowral. And, you get challenges through the build process as well, where things need to be defined and clarified, etc., going back to engineers, etc. With all of that taken into account, they're still going to bring the project in well before they agree timeline as per contract.
Yeah, so they're I guess, on track to finish in about 2 months' time, which by the time you get all your occupation certificate and your titles and that sort of thing, about 9 months from start to finish, which is outstanding in today's market. It really comes down to really good project management. People have been following me for a while. You'll hear me talking about the efficiencies of projects and that sort of thing, and understanding critical path on a project. But these guys are just very, very streamlined. They get their trades in one end and kind of float through the other in one go.
I think they're building, it's a large company, and this is their project wing of the company, and they do anything between 300 to 400 houses a year. They got a well-oiled machine, and again, through project management and through weekly and fortnightly PCG meetings, we know exactly what's required, and we clear bottlenecks and move the project forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that is a really good sign of a builder that's efficient and effective is just how clean they are on a site. And I understand that there's some boxes and that sort of thing piled up here ready to be installed, but when we actually have a look outside, every single house has its own individual skip bin out the front of it for waste. They're cleaning up as they go, which means that nobody's tripping over things, and this means that people can come and go. The expectations on the tradies are to be efficient and effective and get out of each other's way. So it's just a good streamlined process.
Massive, absolutely excellent housekeeping. And again, it comes down to how efficient the build is. And a dirty site or untidy site means delivery delayed, trades can't get in and out, and multiple trades can't work in at the same time. So this allows that to happen. I think in front of each unit, we've got 2 mini skips, and that's removed, I think, weekly. At the end of the week, they come and remove them and recycle. So
yeah. So when you have a look outside, when he says 2 mini skips outside of each townhouse, well, there's like 16 skips out the front, and they're sorting their waste as they go, the whole lot. So a very efficient use of the site. Mate, we're going to do a little bit of a guided tour that they'll probably play over the top of this video, but spec-wise, this is a medium size.
It's a medium to high spec. Again, we talked about Bowral and the price points and the downsizes that they want to maintain the same luxury living spaces. So it's not over the top. It is about the location.
But you're expecting a nice, tiny, price point in these in the vicinity of 2.5 mil-ish per dwelling.
Per dwelling, yep.
Which is not a bad return at the end of the day, mate, but still got to get there. Couple of months to go.
Yep.
But any parting words for anyone out there, wanting to get into the property development game and kind of wanting to know tips and tricks in the process, mate? What would you give them as some guiding?
Absolute know your area, and I think you promote this in part of your education program, is become a master of your suburb. And like I said at the start, when we acquired our first site here, and the guy we picked up the option from had given us a price point, and we thought it's impossible to achieve that.
Well, once you got to know the area.
Once we got to know the area.
And what do you got? 5 in this area?
4 under construction, 2 at tender stage and 2 DAs to be launched.
And that, folks, is truly area expert type expertise. Anyone who's been following me, one strategy, one council, so one set of rules, ideally 3 suburbs if you can, but you really want to be that master of domain. Very, very thin in what you do, but very, very deep in your knowledge, and that's how you get fantastic returns, mate. For anyone, I guess, wanting to see the full story on this, Sunil will be presenting this at some point in the future at one of our upcoming meetups. So we run these all the way around the country: Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and now Perth. I'm proud to say that we're cracking into the Perth space. So we showcase industry experts and real deals every month at every location, mate. Thank you once again for sharing your projects.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys at the next meetup. See you then.